So after this Java as a language, then what is Java? If anybody is asking you a definition of or the meaning of what is Java, so Java is object oriented programming language. Oops language, you can call it as in a short form. It's object oriented programming language. Then what is the meaning of this object oriented programming language? So generally, why we use a language? Being a human beings, why we use a language? Yeah, for one person or one human being to communicate most effectively. In a normal communication can happen with the help of some signals. Correct? I can say yes or no with my hand, shaking the head and shaking the hands and all those things, but we cannot communicate some content based discussion and all. That's why for effective communication, we need a medium. That is nothing but a language. So for our understanding, we are using English as a medium to discuss with each other. So that is where we'll be using a language for effective communication. Then what is this programming language? Programming language means a human being is trying to interact with this machine called a system or computer laptop. A human being is trying to interact with this machine to get the response also at the same time. Then can we use our languages like English, Hindi, Telugu to communicate? No, because system knows only the binary language, that is nothing but zeros or ones only. Then to communicate with this system, so this our languages are not suitable enough. So therefore here there is a language is required. That's what we call as a programming language is a medium for this human being to communicate this machine. That's what it is called as a programming language. For example, like C, C++, some Java, .NET, Python. There are various programming languages are there. Then out of which, again, we are using one more term called as object-oriented programming language. Then what is this object-oriented means? So at this initial point of time, a simplest way to convey is any programming language which supports the basic 6 features, then we call such type of programming languages object-oriented programming languages. Oops languages we can call it as. Then what are those 6 features? Just I'm listing for your knowledge. So as we move forward, we'll discuss each and everything in detail. So one of such feature is class. Then you might be knowing it. Object. The next, encapsulation. Okay. Encapsulation. The next followed by abstraction and inheritance. Then polymorphism. So any programming language which supports these basic 6 features, we call it as object-oriented programming language. It may be something extra, some extra features may be, but basic these 6 features has to be supported. Then we call it as object-oriented. Then which are object-oriented from this list of 5 languages? Except C, C++, Java, .NET, Python, all are object-oriented programming languages only, except C. Yeah. So that is the just basic definition or meaning of what is Java we can convey. Yeah. Then after this, what are the various types of applications that we can develop? Different industry level. So we can develop the e-commerce based applications. Then also followed by banking applications we can develop. The next web applications we can develop, and then mobile applications we can develop, and then robotic applications, and then remote based applications. These all already we discussed, so I'm just writing a bit quickly. And traffic signaling applications. So these are some majorly used types of applications we can develop by using Java. Any large scale industry applications we can use Java to develop. Parvati, can you hear me? Please text in the chat. Then after this, we discussed about some important reasons for why Java is popular. Thank you. Why Java is popular? So what are some reasons? Java is secured programming language. And then the next feature is, yeah, it's easy to understand. Yeah, it is the next major reason is Java is platform independent programming language. The next reason is Java is open source or freeware. So being a developer, initially no investment is required. We can directly get the required softwares and we can develop the applications. So these are some reasons for Java to be popular. Along with this, in our yesterday's discussion, we discussed about the required softwares. So what are the required softwares? One is JDK, which is exclusively required for developers to develop the applications. For internal library support, so we need JDK software. Then along with this JDK, we have one more JRE. This is for running the applications and more importantly, which is required for clients. Then along with these two, for developers comfort, we will be having a IDEs which provides so much of comfortness for developers. And for our discussion, we are going to use Eclipse is the IDE. And then we have seen a basic program or a welcome program of Java by using this Eclipse. So again, once we move to Eclipse, I'll explain the same thing. So otherwise, if anybody is new, like Parvati is new to the session, so let us execute the same basic program, but the steps from your end. That is, I have opened Eclipse, and when we open Eclipse for the first time, it will be asking us to give a system path in which the Java programs will be stored. So here I am choosing one folder called as on desktop VC34, which is our batch name. So I am launching that Eclipse now. Integrated development environment. And meanwhile, from today onwards, I'm recording the sessions and the drive access will be given to each of you. Okay. And Parvati and also Tejasvi. So since I'm using a basic Zoom account, the meeting will end by 40 minutes. So as soon as the meeting ends, please, I request you to join the session by using same link. Okay, we'll continue for around 1.5 hours up to 11:30. So if any time any disconnectivity from your end or from my end, use the same link to join back. Okay, it's not only for today, it's for every day. Same link. I'm not going to change the link. Yeah. So I'll close this file. So once we open Eclipse for the first time, the first setting we have to do is we have to change this mode to Java. So followed by how do we create a new project? Yeah, go to file, then new and select Java project. And here programmer has to give a meaningful titles to the project. So I'm giving, so since it's a sample or demo, I'm giving us sample project. Yeah. Then I click on finish. No other settings are between the names. No, no. So there are some rules to follow for project names, class names, and also the variables, methods, and all. So I'll be following it whenever I am doing it. If you just observe, please observe. If not, one appropriate class will select for that, and there will be discussing about the naming standards for all the different programmer entities. Yeah. So here, to say it simply, project name has to start with capital letter and no spaces. Underscore is allowed but not recommended. Okay. And for every new word, it has to start with capital letter. That's why I'm using Java demo. Yesterday I used J and D is capital. Then sample project I'm using S and P are capitals. Okay. So after creating a project, the next step, expand this project. Then right click on SRC. The next go to new, and here we have to create the package. So yesterday someone asked why we should give a package name like that. Okay. So I hope if I get some more members, then I need not repeat. But anyhow, the recording is happening. So they'll go through the recording. So what is the reason behind this? On a broader level, I'm just explaining. Once we are into real-time projects, you will just understand the meaning. But still, I'm trying to convey the same thing. Assume there is a company, cigarettes. This company has various projects. So it is having some, assume that there are 3 projects. One is for, say, Google. Say one more is for, say, Facebook. Since these are known websites for us, I'm taking the same thing. One more is for, say, bank, SBI. The same developers are working for these 3 projects simultaneously. Yeah. Then each developer has to create some location to save their project. Yes or no? Some SRC we have to use it. And if the same developer is working for Google and for Facebook and also for SBI, if same developer is working for certain time on Google, certain time on Facebook, and certain time on SBI, then if this developer, say D1 for developer 1, is using his or her own namings for the packages, his or her own. For example, developer 1 is using for Google the favorite hero name, say Pawan Kalyan. And for Facebook, so he is using some favorite person name, say some favorite person, okay, Modi. And for SBI, he is using some other favorite movie name, say Bahubali, something like this. Assume that. If the developer 1 is using his own naming standards for the packages, then is it possible for the team leaders or fellow developers who are working in different shifts to identify which is belongs to which project? Is it possible to identify? No, it's not possible, because they may think that this first one is belongs to maybe Google or maybe Facebook or maybe SBI. Inside the files also may be having some similar names and all. So there is no identification, or there is no clear identification. So like that, if every developer is following their own naming standards, then for fellow developers or for team leaders to check the code or to check how far the work is done, then it is a challenging task to identify. So it means, so it is avoided to give individual names or our own names for the packages I'm talking about. So project name is Google only, but package name is, we cannot give our own names because it's difficult to identify. After some months, even this person only will confuse this Pawan Kalyan is belong to Facebook or Google or SBI. Yes or no? It's a possible scenario. So then to avoid that, what we have to follow? For every company or for every organization, what is one unique thing which never changes or which will not be there for the others also? What is that thing? URL? Yeah, exactly. In a simplest terms, every company will have a website or domain, correct? So for Google, it is google.com. Can any other organization will have the same website called as google.com? So it's never possible. So one point is website names or domain names are unique for every company. So for Facebook also, it is facebook.com. And for SBI also, it is sbi.co.in or .com. Yeah? So website name is unique. Then in all these things, there is one common part called as com. Like in our regular system or in our hard disk, whenever I want to store from my previous computer, I want to store my files into a new laptop or a new system. What do we do there? In some drive, say a D drive, directly will dump everything or will segregate into separate folders, one for movies, one for songs, and one for images. We'll segregate it. Why we should segregate? Yeah. So if at all I want to search for songs, then I no need to search the entire folder of D if I dump it in a random order. So instead of that, if you create separate folders for songs, some movies, and some images, so I want to find some image. I no need to check the entire thing. We'll go to this image folder and we'll get the required image for that. So it is for easy access. We are creating a proper folder structure. Similarly, when we have multiple projects at the same time, then to have a proper folder structure internally in the SRC folder. So if we use the reverse of the website name, that is for google.com, the reverse I mean it's com.google. Then for Facebook, it is com.facebook. Then here com.sbi. If we use the website name in reverse order, internally in SRC is one folder. Inside that, one more folder will be there. That folder is of nothing but com. Com is one folder. Inside com, again we'll be having a proper folder, one separate folder for Google, one separate folder for Facebook, I'm writing FB, one separate folder for SBI. So because if we follow the domain name to get the uniqueness of every company project, and we can identify by seeing the package name, this project is belongs to Google. Look, by looking at the package name only, we can get the project which company we are working for. And to have an internal proper folder structure, we have to use the same domain name in reverse order. That's the reason whenever I am using the packages or we are going to use the package names, so we are going to use the company's name or domain name in reverse order. That is for grads, for example, if I want to use it, then com.grads. Then after that followed by, we can use a proper subtopic name. So then if we are ending the package name with a dot, it's a compilation error or it's a naming error. So it is not possible to end a package name with dot or predefined keywords. Some predefined keywords are there. So they are not supposed to use as a part of the package name. So here I'm using some sample. So this is my package name. So I click on finish. Yeah. So once the package is done, then right click and go to new. What is the third step? Create a class. At a class level also, we have to follow the proper naming standards. That is, for every word, first letter has to be capital and no space. Underscore is possible but not recommended. So my class I am using with M and C are capitals. For any Java program to execute, select this public static void main option, then click on finish. So at this class level, we can type some code inside this main method. Main is one method. So here we can type some code. As of now, we discussed only the print function syntax. Can you please tell me what is that? System with S capital dot out dot println. So open and close parenthesis, semicolon. So this is the syntax. Yes. Yeah. So this is the print syntax. Then to see something in the output, so inside this parenthesis, within double quotes, whatever we type, we get the same thing in the output. So welcome to Java class is the statement which I am using inside the double quotes here. Then before we execute, it's always mandatory or a professional approach to save the content. So I'm using Control S on my keyboard to save the file. You can see the star disappeared. Then to execute, we discussed two different approaches. One is we can right click in the class area and go to run as, then Java application. So in the console, we can see the same thing as output, whatever we are using inside the print function here. So this is what we discussed more or less in yesterday's class. Yeah. And one more point, like for every file, I mean, if you are having some PDF files, then there is a dot extension as dot PDF for every PDF files. And if you are having some images, then dot extension is dot JPEG. And if you are having some songs, then dot MP3. For videos, dot MP4. Then by looking at the file format or file name itself, we can identify this is an image or this is a song or this is a movie. Similarly, in one folder, if you find something as .java, then that is a Java file. So we can take it for granted. So that's what here. a programmer is creating a class with a name called as my class, then the same thing is given as a file name called as my class.java. So this is where my cursor is I am pointing. So that's a Java file or file extension. And one more point, like whatever we discussed, I would like to show you. So yesterday, if you remember, we have given on desktop VC34 is the folder name in which my program files has to be stored. Then here Java demo is one of the project. Inside that SRC is one folder. Inside SRC com is one subfolder. Then grads is my project name. Inside that there is a sub topic called as demo. Then there is a my class.java file is there. So this is what we call as a proper folder structure. It comes when we follow the proper or standard package names, so that everybody can access by using the file path, whoever is authorized in a real-time scenario. Maybe fellow developers or maybe team leaders, project managers, they all can access the files. If we follow proper naming standards, it is easy. Otherwise, it's unprofessional way of writing the code in a simplest way. Clear? So online Parvati, I see you're attending for the first. Do you have any questions so far in this? A quick response, please. In this discussion, do you have any questions? And here also, anybody any questions? Sir, in one project, n number of packages. Yeah. For example, if you're working for a Google, there are some 100 modules are there. In Google, for example, say if we take grads as example, so there is a HR department, there is a management department, there is a sales department, for example, there is a student department. So for all these departments, all belongs to grads only. So therefore, com.grads.student, com.grads.trainers, com.grads.hr. Like that, we can create multiple modules by using different package names, so that entire project data will be in the same SRC or same folder. So that's how we will be creating in real time also. Yeah. Any other questions, please? No? For? Yeah. So, yeah, number of classes we can create as many as we want. In one package, we can create any number of classes. Yeah. The next part, yesterday we discussed one reason for why Java is popular, and because of its platform independency. And also we discussed about one more property called as a Java is secure. So for that, I'm just giving one example. So here you will get some important interview questions from this possibly. So that is nothing but Java program execution flow. Just now we have created one class called my class. In that we have some sample print statement. And what is the internal execution flow? And from that, so we need to know some of the important components of Java as well. So I'll be discussing very clearly, and still if you feel anything is not understood, I request you to be openly asked. To start with, so whenever a programmer is writing the program, so since Java is a object oriented programming language and will be using the high level language to write the program. High level in a simplest terms, system.out.println, then public class. This is nothing but in a simplest way, I can call it as a English, where programmer understandable language. So by using the support of Eclipse, with the help of Eclipse, we have creating some sample files, say here, my class.java file. And inside this one, we are having some lines of code. Then finally, who is going to execute any program? So programmer is giving instructions in English, but programming language will internally convert into binary. Right? How that binary process is going to happen, that's what I'm trying to discuss here. When programmer writes a code, since we are using IDE called as Eclipse, it's a parallel process. That is, our program will be given to one of the internal component called as a Java C. Java C stands for Java compiler. Java compiler has two responsibilities, majorly two responsibilities. So one such responsibility of Java compiler is Java compiler will check the syntax errors of the program. Syntax errors means like if a comma is missing or any semicolon is missing or opening and closing of the flower brackets are missing or parentheses are missing. All these things will be checked by a Java compiler. And if you are using something as lowercase in place of uppercase or uppercase in place of lowercase, so all these things will be checked by a Java compiler. So in this process, if everything is right, it means there are no syntax errors in our lines of code. Every line of code is correct. Then the second responsibility of Java compiler, after no errors only, the second responsibility is Java compiler will generate a next file called as dot class file. Dot class file, or the other name for this dot class is a bytecode file. Java compiler is going to generate, when there are no errors, then it is going to generate a bytecode file. The other name for this bytecode is nothing but dot class file. And what's the name of dot class? Whatever is the name of this dot Java, so with the same file name called as myclass.java will become myclass.class only. If x.java, x.class, y.java, y.class. Similarly, myclass will become myclass.java file will become myclass.class file. Yeah. Then this is a bytecode. Is it binary code? This bytecode is binary? No. Bytecode is nothing but a intermediate file. Intermediate file. It's not completely high level. It's not completely machine level or binary level. It's an intermediate code. What's the meaning of that intermediate? Simplest way to understand. It's a combination of English and also zeros and ones together. Yeah. So because this file will be given to any other clients as a developer to be secured. So this file will be given to others so that they will not understand the code what it is there inside this bytecode or dot class file, but the same file will work for them whenever they are running on a proper machine. That's how Java will be achieving the security. Yeah, because of this bytecode file, Java achieves security is a point to remember. So I'll write for the notes purpose. So with help of bytecode file, Java achieves security, and also this bytecode file will run on any other platforms as well. We discussed Java is platform independent also. It is possible because of the bytecode file only. So it achieves security and also platform independency. So am I clear with this, or do you have any questions here? The .java file will be given to compiler. It's a parallel process because of IDEs. So whenever yesterday's class I have shown you, like whenever we remove any semicolon by chance, then immediately compiler is working and it is throwing the error. So that's because of the IDE. If a notepad approach, then two different processes. So here, that's what the compiler is doing. First, it is checking the syntax errors. When there are no errors, then we are going to get a bytecode file. Bytecode file is not completely high level, not completely machinery. So it is an intermediate file, which is a combination of English and machine language. Then with the help of this bytecode, Java achieves security. It means if this bytecode file is given to another client, then they cannot understand, they can't corrupt also. So, but that file will work on their machines. Yeah, that's why it is also achieves the platform independency as well. Then still we have some more process left over for to convert into binary format completely. That is the next component, which is a hero of Java. The bytecode file will be given to a next component called as JVM. Stands for Java Virtual Machine. Some of the people will have a doubt on this. It's a software or it's a hardware? Machine means software or hardware? Yeah, machine means generally machine tends to go to hardware only, but remember JVM is a software. It is a software. And one more important point, JVM is platform dependent or platform independent? JVM. Now here are one point to understand clearly and no confusions. Java is platform independent, but JVM is platform dependent. On Windows, a different JVM will work. On Linux, a different JVM. On iOS, a different JVM. But on every JVM, our bytecode will run. That's how the platform independence will be achieved. Point is clear? Any confusions and any clarification is required? JVM is dependent. Bytecode is independent. So on every JVM machine, bytecode will run. Same bytecode only will run. That's how the platform independence will be achieved. So JVM is platform dependent. The next, what is the responsibility of JVM? With the help of internal components of JVM, because too many things I don't want to put in the same day. So JVM has some internal components. With the help of JVM's internal components, JVM will convert the bytecode file into the binary code file. This is a binary code file for the same thing. That is completely zeros and ones formats. Then this binary code will be given to our CPU, and this CPU will execute the same binary code and will convert that into the output where human has to understand. That's why again the output will come in the high level language only, because binary output we don't understand being a developers. That's why high level to binary level till here, and that is executed by CPU, and CPU generates output in again human readable format. In some programming languages, instructions will be even given in binary, output will be in binary also. They are not called as high level programming languages. If a human being is able to give instructions in their own comfortable language, and if human being is able to understand the output, then such type of programming languages are called as a high level programming languages. So this is what the Java program execution flow. Yeah. So from now onwards, whenever I say the program executed by JVM, I am not discussing about the binary code conversion to the output by CPU. I am not going to discuss that. Whenever I say JVM executes, how that byte code is converted into binary code. That's what the discussion, which the terminology I am going to use it. I will always say JVM will execute our program. It means how that byte code is converted into binary code, or how this Java file is executed in a simplest way. Yeah, get this point. So here, is it understood, or do you have any questions? So we may get a cross question in interview. Explain what is Java compiler. Yeah. So Java compiler is one of the component of this Java program execution flow, and it has two major responsibilities. One is it will check the syntax errors first. Then once there are no errors, then compiler will generate a bytecode file. The next we'll get a cross question. Based on our answers only, we'll get cross questions. We are using some more term called as bytecode. Then they'll ask what is bytecode. Bytecode is a intermediate file. It's not binary. It's not high level also. It's a combination of both. And because of that, Java achieves security. And because of this bytecode only, Java achieves platform independency. The next, what is the next components that in any program execution flow, or what is JVM? We may get a class question. So we can say that JVM is one virtual machine, and it is a software. And the major purpose of JVM is, with the help of its internal components, JVM converts the .class file or bytecode file into binary code file. That's it. So at this point of time, as we move on, some points will be added to JVM, some points will be added to compiler. So you have to club all this together. Am I clear? Yeah. Tejasvi and Parvati, any questions, please?